the companies you have worked with, and the number of startups you initiate. When and how yoga theory, practical yoga became part of your life.
Regardless of whether I work at a company like Apple or Microsoft or IBM, I'm always a startup entrepreneur.
How entrepreneurship and yoga you think are interconnected, or you connected them?
First thing as an entrepreneur is to cultivate what I call as the think muscle. Then comes the execution muscle.
I would like to ask here your vision for entrepreneurship in 2026.
A regular entrepreneur, what we will do is they look at this unfair status quo and they look at making a lot of money. Are they doing it for the right reasons?
That I learned from my teacher, that many people have ideas, that those who act on those ideas are the ones who will take it forward. Otherwise, there are 10,000 other people in the world who have the same idea.
Only few people, they go from sight to insight.
Would you recommend a mental practice from your yoga learning?
We have a framework called the IOAM. The Yoga Sutra goes like Trayam Ekatra Samyama. What it essentially means is there are three powers of the mind. The universe at that time doesn't have a choice but to surrender to the pursuit and result excellence. Oh my God, entrepreneurship skill unlocked.
How your entrepreneurial thinking after yoga entered into your life has changed?
It has to become zero of the boundaries to become one.
A couple of startups, or one startup that really took off and a startup that did not take off.
Startups are not easy. Make sure that you always surround yourself with the right capital, right team, right resources.
Namaste and a very warm welcome to you, Srini. I'm a professor and yoga coach, Nalini Om here. Today, I'm delighted to feature Srini, an accomplished professional turned entrepreneur who has worked with global giants like Apple, IBM, and now integrates yoga, physical yoga as well as mind yoga to understand the mechanics of mind with entrepreneurship. Let's see how he does it. As we step into 2026 success, I believe it demands more than hustle. It requires balance. It requires clarity and also the inner power. The future demands these things. So let's explore how Yogi Srini does it using yoga powers, how he culminates entrepreneurial journey with yoga. So first question, Srini, especially for those who are meeting you for the first time, would you mind briefly telling us about yourself, especially your professional journey, the companies you have worked with, and the number of startups you initiated, and also tell us when and how yoga theory or else practical yoga became part of your life. Over to you.
Hello, Nalini. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity, and good morning, everyone, and good evening for the people overseas. I'm Srini Gurapu. Regarding my entrepreneurial journey, I actually started my career working at two big companies, AT&T Bell Labs and then Microsoft. And I actually credit Microsoft to laying the foundation for my technology and the growth. In fact, and they also moved me from being a software developer to be on the business side. But I did about 10 startups, and I also recently worked as a vice president for one of the divisions inside Apple, a low-code division. And recently I built a company called Booma, which was acquired by IBM. So I'm currently working at IBM. So my journey over the past 25 plus years has been combination of four big companies and then about 10 startups, and about 4 or 5 of them got acquired, so into some kind of medium-sized companies or big-sized companies. So that has shaped. But one thing that I would definitely say is that regardless of whether I worked at a big company like Apple or Microsoft or IBM, or whether I'm a startup, I'm always a startup entrepreneur. I think and operate like an entrepreneur. So the vessel doesn't matter to me. It's just like whether I work for a big company or small company, I remain the same. I operate the way that I am. But going to the other part of your question, definitely there is a profound shift in how I operate from the time before yoga entered my life to the time yoga when yoga became a part of me. So now I pursue excellence. I do startups with a lot more efficiently and with a lot more awareness. And also I pick on the initiatives that has a lot more inclusive benefits. So in a way, a lot of people see this tremendous shift. Yoga made me a better person. I'm able to do more things more joyfully. So hopefully we get to talk about some of those things. And as you and many of the people around the world know, that based on my experience of combining the power of the entrepreneurial skills and the technology with yoga, and then with what I call as the third power called a world of sharing, means using these capabilities in the service of the better world, that actually unleashed a new capability, a superpower. And we have a nonprofit called the 10YEC Youth Excellence Center that combines these three powers: technology, yoga, and the world of sharing. So hopefully we get to reflect on some of those, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Looks like you have properly blended yoga with entrepreneurship. So, if you don't mind giving a little bit more detail or finer information about how entrepreneurship and yoga you think are interconnected or you connected them.
Mhm. So, as I talked about, an entrepreneur, they basically look at any unmet need, any inefficient state. Like, for example, you're walking around and then you take some kind of a healthcare kind of stuff. A lot of people are now becoming diabetic, or a lot of people don't have access to education. So then, first thing as an entrepreneur is to cultivate what I call as the think muscle. A think muscle is to cultivate the right vision. Most people, well, know, we simply look at what we see. They simply operate with what I call a sight.
Mm,
Simply observe, they parse the thing, and then they know that, okay, um, they just simply walk through the life based on the norms that were given. But only few people, they go from sight to insight.
mm,
The insight is a beautiful thing. So basically, it's like, okay, we have the healthcare access and you are like paying the healthcare premiums and so on and so forth. Some people with insight says like, hey, why are these healthcare premiums going so high? Why are they going up? And why are there so many people that cannot afford healthcare? Actually, today, contemporarily, there are like a lot of debate, political battles that are happening about Affordable Care Act.
yeah.
So many people, we basically think that that's a routine, it's a news information. So people operate in the sight. That sight is actually blindness. That's what we call as a tamasoma jyotirgamaya. That's tamas. People are operating with, even though they're seeing, they're actually not seeing.
Mm,
And then you actually, then there are some level of people, the conscious people, they basically, or let's first look at the entrepreneur. They look at like, wow, there is like healthcare is so messed up. There is a tremendous opportunity that I could do.
mm,
And then I can actually build a new a company or a startup that can actually, create a new drug or create a, cure for cancer, create a cure for diabetes, or create something, and then I can profit from it. An entrepreneur always, almost like they look at problems as God-given opportunities.
mm,
The first care of people are like, this is just very passive people. They don't even know that there's a problem. They simply walk through the life laid by the norms of the other people. I call them as followers.
mm,
They're like only operate with sight, with no insight or vision. It's like, people operate in almost like a darkness. But entrepreneur actually goes to the inside. And then they come up with a vision. They imagine a world that doesn't exist. Like for example, an entrepreneur could be like what we talked about. Elon Musk, about 15, 20 years ago, he was talking about, you know, all electric vehicles. People would have thought that he was a crazy guy,
Mm,
right? Or even now, he basically says like, I actually look at, interplanetary human species. Let's all go live in Mars. And he even says like it's going to happen in 10 years. Most people will even say like, what the heck are you talking about, right? So there are different classes of people. Like there are people that go from sight to insight to vision. That what I call as a think muscle. People who are constantly observing the surroundings around them, surroundings within, and then figuring out what are the inefficient states, and then they have a vision for what the better world should be.
mm,
Then they get excited that God has given them an opportunity to actually do something about it.
mm,
And that's the first thing. But then that's only the vision aspect. Then comes the execution muscle.
mm,
The execution muscle is now you need to be deliberate about it. You need to come up with a plan and how to actually go there. And this is where we call as a actions and metrics.
mhm,
Actions is like, you actually define what are the metrics that design the outcomes that you want. And then what are the actions or the behaviors that you need? And in the startup entrepreneur world, we call that as a business plan. The first one is the think muscle is you come up with an idea of the problem that you're trying to tackle. And then you write a business plan on how you're going to prosecute this idea or the thing that you have. And then when you write a business plan, you're actually living step by step on how you're going to prosecute the mission.
mm,
So the think muscle, the execution muscle, when you nurture those things, then you are just journeying through the life and you are like looking at there's so many opportunities that are there. Your life becomes like, you're no longer worried about the time or the space. You're actually living what I call as a flow state
mm.
where you transcend it and you're actually continuously creating, designing excellence in the world. This opportunity. I mean, look at Elon Musk. He's like simultaneously handling what, 8 startups now? And there are actually two of them, actually. At least one of them, the boring company was one of my idea. You probably stole it from me. No, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I used to think about that. Every time I used to drive in Bay Area, that one particular intersection, 880 and 237, when they come in, there was like a parking lot for 2 hours. I will always be thinking like there should be it's almost like um,
Tunnel.
it's a tunnel, and then you go dig in, and then it simply carries you through the other side, and then you go there. And then I would always be like, this is the only way to solve the problem. And then suddenly it's like, there is a dude, the Musk dude comes down and he says, and he aptly calls it boring company, right? So,
A couple of things here. Once saw a video title, Why is Elon Musk digging? I I thought maybe he's literally digging. And then they talked about this project just mentioned. And yeah, and there is a nice, good piece of information or nugget that I learned from my teacher that many people have ideas, but those who act on those ideas are the ones who will take it forward. Otherwise, like you, there are 10,000 other people in the world who have the same idea, right? So I would like to interrupt here, Srini, because I'm really surprised and I'm really curious, in fact, to know how do we take or the new entrepreneurs, the new generation is all about entrepreneurships. They want to create these things, right? So in order to go from sight to insight, as you just mentioned, and vision, do you would you recommend a mental practice from your yoga learning, so that they can stay consistent with their goals?
yeah, absolutely. In fact, we have a framework called IOAM. What it means is insights to outcomes. That's what we call as a think muscle. And then we basically call as a AM is actions and metrics. And we have a systemic framework on how to nurture this. See, the first step there is like for any entrepreneur, there are two skills that we need to do, right? Number one is What is the biggest asset that you have? It's your mind. That's where the ideas come in. And even when you want to do something, you again have to master your mind. The mastering the mind, the powers of the mind is the single biggest ingredient that you need. And that's where yoga actually comes in. When I started doing my yoga and starting deeper into the philosophy of the yoga, one power that really struck me, it's called samyama.
Mm,
Samyama is it's the Yoga Sutra goes like Trayam Ekatra Samyama. What it essentially means is there are three powers of the mind: power of focus, dharana, power of meditation, dhyana, and power of samadhi. What samadhi means is when you're pursuing a mission, you need to be so engrossed in doing what you dream about to a point where you forget your own self. So any action that you do with the dharana, dhyana, samadhi, with intense focus, with meditation, only thinking about that, to a point where only the object of your pursuit remains and you cease to exist. And
mm,
that's when Sage Patanjali, what he said is the universe at that time doesn't have a choice but to surrender to the pursuit and result excellence.
beautiful. Mm,
So when I learned about this, then I said like, oh my God, entrepreneurship skill unlocked.
mm,
Everybody can be an entrepreneur.
mm.
And this is such a democratized, in fact, it's there. God has given this capability to everybody.
True.
So now it's about making aware of that and then doing it. A lot of people are able to do this without knowing that it's actually yoga. I mean, I've been in the Silicon Valley for 25 years, been part of 10 startups. Every idea that we do, every company that we build, we are singularly focused. We're intensely focused. We are only thinking about the mission. And we transcend sometimes relationships, the time and the space. For example, in several of my startups, I used to spend about 180 nights in hotels. A lot of people get scared of like, how can you travel this much or whatever, whatever. But we are like singular. It actually gives us joy. When people are deploying at that level, the universe doesn't have a choice, but to succeed these people. That's why we are seeing so many of Google's perplexities at will. But not many people try to take advantage of this power of samyama. And most people were not even focused in what they do. They're constantly stimulated by they rather want to be stimulated by somebody else, like a TikTok reel. And
Mm,
most people would want, in fact, this is the biggest asset. Most people would want a stable, simple job.
yeah.
Unless and until people shift their paradigm of thinking to be like being employee is means you're actually serving somebody else's mission. And which is not a bad thing actually, but also recognize the fact that that job may be there, may not be there.
Mm, yeah.
And then, as long as you're prepared, at some point, it's going to be, at some point, even if the job is not there, you know how you're equipped to actually go tackle this. So, what I essentially say is the way to cultivate this entrepreneurial mindset is it starts with mind. And that's where yoga comes in. We have a systemic process to, to harness the power of the mind, to teach samyama, and then the second thing that we do at the advice is now that you know how to handle your mind to pursue excellence in whatever the field, whether it's entrepreneurship, art, music, dance, whatever the field of or athletics and the sport. Then the second thing is I truly believe that only entrepreneurs, particularly the socially conscious entrepreneurs, can solve the growing inequalities and the divisiveness in the world
Mm,
with the right business models, with the right platforms. The second step that we do is we actually teach the right entrepreneurial skills rooted in the right values. See, the problem with the entrepreneurs is they are yogis. They know how to harness the power of the mind and they are building massive companies. I mean, if you look at it, and now I know so many people are at will building billion-dollar plus companies. The thing that is missing in humanity, in amongst all the entrepreneurs, is are they doing it for the right reasons?
mm,
Are they doing it for the welfare of the more inclusive public? Or are they only doing it for are they only looking at the business models that profit the select few?
Mm.
And that's where the yoga powers of yama niyama come in.
Beautiful. Okay.
So the yama niyama, the first thing is yama is how do you conduct towards people around you or the society around you with the right human values, being truthful. It's like whatever we say, it's like satya, ahimsa, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. In the last one, aparigraha, don't try to covet a lot of stuff for yourself.
Mm.
Live a minimalistic life. Use all the capabilities that you have in the service of the world. Design excellence in the world.
Mm.
And that's what Yama is, a critical power. Every entrepreneur that mastered some Yama in their pursuit, they need to be founded on one foot, that is Yama. The power that God has given you is to design excellence in the world. And the third power is Niyama. And you have to do it with the right way. Saucha Santosha Tapaswadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhana. That's how do you conduct yourself. You maintain cleanliness, harmony within yourself, and you always be joyful and give the hard work. Tapas, swadhyaya with the rightful. Swadhyaya is sometimes I joke it. If you need to work very hard, don't drink a monster drink. There are other ways to actually, stay awake.
Mhm. What are they?
There's like, you can even do meditation. You can do all you can do kumbhak pranayam. I know the greatest yogi I know is a friend of mine. You probably know him, Dr. Nick Shroff. He's 82 years old. He's actually a great swimmer. He's my swimming coach. He's a Texas pool champion. Every time he plays a shot, he cannot miss a shot. He clears the table. But you know what he does? He does kumbhak.
Mm.
He does Uddiyana breathing, Kumbhak, so that your mind is like razor sharp focused, and then he shoots it. He doesn't have a choice but to go there.
By the way, kubak means holding breath.
First step, inhale through your nose, filling your lungs completely to your capacity. Second step, hold the breath inside for as long as you comfortably can, but not more than 4 seconds. Third step, exhale slowly and completely through your nose. Fourth step, hold your breath again, without inhaling or exhaling. This breath retention is called samhak.
Yeah, continue, Sri.
So that's literally, and then he is a retired neurosurgeon. He donated close to about $3.5 million.
Wow.
Built a children, hospital, and he's so joyfully, he and his wife Lena Auntie joyfully participate in designing excellence in the world.
Dr. Nick Shroff, we need more people like you who is looking at the world as their own family and also opening their heart big towards the world. Thank you.
One thing that I will actually say,
Yeah.
the life before yoga, it's like my life was very much defined by what can I do to make my small family world better. For me, the world was my family of four and my parents and all this.
Mm.
When this yoga and the philosophy came in, my notion of the family expanded.
Mm.
So it's like for me, that's the reason why I'm able to deeply engage with people in all walks of life around the world because my boundary has actually shifted. It's expanded to a point where I want to be boundaryless. In fact, a lot of people say it's like, why does somebody says like my name as Srini the 10, Gurupu? This kind of coincided with my yoga journey. The 10 actually is symbolic. It means one has to become zero of the boundaries to
Ah,
become one.
okay.
Though, so I basically want to be, but it's a process. You don't get there over time, right? You have to get there. So the more inclusiveness that you make, the better your capability to design excellence in the world. So my world has shifted from being an ad hoc entrepreneur using all the powers. Now yoga gives me be the most efficient. I'm able to do a lot more things with little hustle and all the stuff
Mm.
because you know how to deploy, you have better master time management, or in fact time follows you, or at least I try to pretend that, right? And but at the same time, now my entrepreneurship is rooted in the initiatives that has a bigger canvas.
Mm.
Right? In fact, my last company that I sold to IBM, I've actually named the company as Bhuma. It's one of the Upanishadic word. It means limitless, fearless.
Mm.
And I truly, only when we become limitless without boundaries and be fearless, that's when you have an opportunity to go create better things. Yeah.
And
And the best part is there are so many of us, again, going from sight to insight to vision. If you cultivate the right vision, you see so many of this, divine souls all around. And in fact, it's not even one person, right? There are so many of these activities. And again, yoga teaches you to cultivate that amount of positivity and see the divinity in all the people of life. I mean, we have so many people like Ratan Tata or even Warren Buffett. Most of his wealth he's not passing out to his kids. 99% of his wealth is actually being distributed to the welfare of the people.
Before wrapping it up, I have a couple of things. You explained what is 10YEC or the 10YEC. It is not the 10 actually, it is the 1 to 0, I think. Right? I would like you to go over this IOAM practice that you recommend. And also, I think that is one thing. And you mentioned Booma. So, a couple of startups, or one startup that really took off, and a startup that did not take off, because there is both, right? They are both. They're both in life. So, if you like to cover these two things, Srini?
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Actually, the startups are, we all get carried away by the startups that got good exits. It's like, I would say it's like, there was one company that we built, we sold to McAfee for 700 million in the cloud security space is the first startup that I did. It actually went public and where I actually wrote the entire architecture for their authentication subsystem. It's actually called Blue Coat, one of the leading proxies. And the second startup that we did, we got acquired by Juniper. But the thing that I'm very fascinated about is startups are not easy. There are many things that go wrong. I mean, there were like one startup that I did where I probably lost a lot of money. But what always excites me the most
Mm.
is the journey of actually trying to do something that was not done before, trying to tackle an unmet need that need to be solved. And there are so many people attempting it. And I think what we are getting lost in the detail is, are you doing a unicorn or you get an exit and so on and so forth.
Mm.
And like, for example, we're trying to build a cybersecurity company right now where how do we take this complex cybersecurity? I mean, look at all the citizens. Many people don't even know what cybersecurity is, where
Mm.
the threat landscape is so greater. Now, with all the use of AI, one of the challenge that we are trying to do is can we dumb it down to the cybersecurity where you can converse, ask questions like, hey, tell me what are the security risks that I need to worry about? And then can you actually tackle to me? That opportunity exists.
Yeah.
So for me, there are like several startups where we went through a lot of challenges, whether it's a technology unknowns, you have a more competitor, you don't have a good, go to market. And the biggest issue that most startups fail is you don't have enough capital. And what I actually say is there's one wisdom if I want to share with people is make sure that you always surround yourself with the right capital, right team, right resources that are measured to the mission that you're on.
Mm.
Like, for example, I call this as don't ever get into asymmetric warfare. But what that means is, I'll give you a simple example. Like, you probably know, I mean, we both know the India's freedom struggle.
Mm.
And there were like a lot of courageous people. They had like swords.
Mm.
And then they were fighting somebody with a gun.
Mm.
You might be a bravery guy, but what does a sword do? Sword will only do damage to people around like, 5 feet or 10 feet. Whereas a gun guy comes from, 100 feet and then shoots you. So you're actually wasting your resources.
Mm.
So you need to equip yourself with the right resources that are proportionate to the mission that you're on. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if I'm trying to go take on Google as an example, or
Mm.
go take on Musk at Tesla,
Mm.
You cannot go there as like "Oh, I have a better idea." You need to make sure that, hey, do I have the right resources? Do I have the right capital? Do I actually have the thing? Do I have the right capability to go tackle that mission? Or you have to gradually take on the missions that progressively build you up to a bigger mission.
Okay.
Otherwise, a lot of people in this startup journey, they get burnt out,
Mm.
and you need to watch out for that burnt out. But more importantly, celebrate the journey.
Beautiful.
I
Nice.
love the word journey. Actually, you probably know this. If you look at the word journey, the first two letters and the last one is called joy.
Joy. Yeah,
So
I just
journey is
noticed.
the
Yeah.
joy, not in the destination, getting anywhere.
Yeah.
It's the process. And that's what yoga is all about.
Mm.
The previous company, Bhuma, we built a low-code company. By low-code, no-code company means you can actually allow people to build software without having to write code. And why is that? Going back to our original thesis, the asset is in this digital world, not many people know how to program and how to build software. So that's an inefficient state.
Mm.
So now, if you were to actually allow people to just build whatever the application that they want without knowing programming, that's a such state. So that we are making it a level playing field. So
Mm.
Booma allowed people to build software that they want,
Mm.
where anybody can build the app that you want. For Mind Yoga, if you were to be a Booma customer, give me some money, you could have actually built, your own software using your Booma, right? And this was actually a division that I was running inside Apple. And from that insights, then we created Booma and all this stuff. So look around. There are like so many opportunities like this all around.
I would like to ask here your vision for entrepreneurship in 2026, especially for conscious professionals.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. So the entrepreneurship, I actually believe that it's a human's way of life. And if I may, let me actually quote one of my favorite words. It's from the Upanishads and the Vedic Upanishad that many of us know. It goes something like this. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritangamaya, om shanti shanti shanti. This is something that we probably invoke and chant in many occasions. I call this as entrepreneurship anthem. And
Okay.
what does this actually mean? If you actually look at the first line, asatoma satgamaya, asat means untruth. What is an untruth to? Any unfair status quo within you, all around you. That's untruth, inefficient state. Sat is excellent state.
Mm.
And our life journey is defined or shaped by when we take an inefficient, not excellent, unfair status quo, and then we work to actually make that into a excellent state. And
Beautiful.
that's the essence. And if you look at every entrepreneur, when we look at it, like, for example, take everybody will know entrepreneur means Elon Musk. The asset there is like there is emissions, all the vehicles that we have because of the oil, there is a lot of emissions and it's not environmentally friendly. So what is a such state? Emission-free vehicles. So by inventing an electric vehicle, we are actually taking an unfair status quo, an inefficient state, to an excellent state. A yogi essentially follows this. And what we also, the second line says, that's where we take a darkness. Darkness symbolizes an inefficient state to a joyful state, a lightful state. And that's how humanity transcends the finiteness. We all are on this planet, in this body for a limited time. And the third line says, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. We all have the opportunity to be the children of immortal bliss, to be infinite beings. You don't get there by taking some drugs or some serums and elongate your life,
Mm.
which I believe some people are trying actually. But the way you do this is by taking one inefficient state and converting that into an efficient state to the people around you, and that's how you become an infinite being, and that's our true identity.
Mm.
So now, when you ask me about what is the vision for 2026, so this is an eternal mission. This is not limited to 2025 or 2026 or 2027. What changes is every time when we are surrounded by different unfair status quos. And the first one is when we all have to look around. And in fact, you don't even need to look around. Look at within your own self. Like for example, you are not feeling well, or you have some health condition, or you have some kind of lack of harmony within. And one of the entrepreneurship goal that you do is recognize that as an unfair status quo, and then you need to get to Sat excellent state. So perhaps you sign up for a workout, take up a yoga program, or do meditation, or do more service. So that's kind of some of the things that you could do for yourself. But now when we look at the other kind of an entrepreneurship, today we're probably going through the most profound technological seismic shifts that are happening, the AI evolution, the quantum that is actually coming, and also the growing inequalities. And there is like so many technologies that we are immersed and surrounded by. I believe that about 70 to 85% of the world population don't even know what this means. Yet the pace of technology is actually moving so fast. So the thing that I'm excited about is the rapid emergent of newer technologies, whether it is AI or whether it is crypto, and how we can use this to design excellence in the world. And what you asked the question about, what as conscious professionals need to do? A regular entrepreneur, what we will do is they look at this unfair status quo, and they look at making a lot of money, or profit from this opportunity for themselves or for their investors, for the shareholders. But a socially conscious person, a professional, approaches this a slightly different way. Not only they go from solving this, like using AI to democratize healthcare. For the first time, we are staring at an opportunity where AI can make healthcare for free. AI can make education for free. AI can make access to every technical skill free. Now, but at the same time, do we have those conscious professionals who are willing to sign up for this, to seize this opportunity, to actually make it a level playing field for the not haves and haves? And I think that is the biggest awakening that we need within our humanity and within amongst all ourselves. And that's kind of one of the things that I'm trying to do with my the 10 Wise mission.
Rapid fire, so we have to keep it quick. What is IOAM? So keep it easy
Insight,
for us to understand.
the think muscle is going from insights to outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And then actions and metrics, what behaviors and what metrics guide you that you are actually executing right way. So one is the think muscle, the other one is the execution muscle. That's what it's called, IAOM or
IOAM.
something. And then one of my friends recently is actually a yogic scholar. He looked at it, he called it as aim zero.
That's easy to remember. Yeah,
Aim zero, and it kind of goes with journey to zero, which is kind of the 10. He basically said, like, Srini, you should call it as aim zero.
aim zero, huh? And the next one is what inspires you when decisions get tough? A person, a practice, or a scripture? I know you're a lot into scriptures and you know many sutras by memory.
So for me, the two traits that actually, two behaviors inspire me a lot.
Uh-huh.
Anyone that's actually pursuing excellence in whatever the field, I'm just simply enamored by it.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, it just bores me. I just want to walk away. Right? That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking at people, talking to people, and who are actually constantly furthering the human thought or human progress. That inspires me. And the second thing that inspires me is resilient journeys.
Mm-hmm.
I get bored of people who have it easy.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I actually go look at it, if I'm actually get stuck on something, I shift my attention to somebody who's actually being more resilient, who have actually transcended obstacles and gotten the other side. So I'm a big fan of people's stories. I like people. I like to learn about their stories, particularly if they have a resilient journey, a resilient story to talk about.
Mm.
That inspires me. Then I feel like my world is like so small, whereas there are other divinity that is there. So that inspires me a lot. So I'm always reading, learning, and I'm deeply fascinated by the profoundness of the human thought that originated probably 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, and which was not accessible to me before. But there are so many. I'm so blessed to have people like, some of our common guru, who I call Sriram Sarvottam ji as the closest guru that I have. There's so many people like that who have been giving me access to many of these things. And then when I start digging into deeper, it inspires me. It allows me to transcend the small little world and the problems that we have. And then you basically is like, wow, we are here to go for the big jackpot.
Somebody who is inspiring, somebody who is challenging you, inspire you. So always look up to people and find the ones who are doing it or who is up there, is what I heard from you, Sri. Thank you so much for this clarity and your groundedness and your willingness to share all this lived wisdom with us. So today's conversation, it reminds us that entrepreneurship is not just building ventures, but it's about building the self. Is that right, Sri?
You're building the self. It's all about designing excellence in your world and the world around you.
Uh-huh.
You yourself, that's what entrepreneurship is. That's what you do every day. You work out, that means you're doing an entrepreneur.
Wonderful.
One thing that I would want to do,
Mm.
right? Before we do this, and you always see everybody that sees me a picture with like this.
Haha, yeah,
What I want you to
that
do is,
gesture.
yeah, this gesture. Why this is so profound. Almost anybody that follows me, they always see like a picture like this. So
Mm.
this is actually a yogic principle. So we categorize our mind in 5 states.
Uh-huh,
Finger is called a pinky finger. It's called a monkey mind. Always jumps around.
uh-huh.
Then this fourth finger, we call this as a donkey mind.
Okay.
And it always gives the negative talk or lethargic. It's like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this, and it's like, I don't want to do this. Right? That's a negative talk.
Mm.
And this middle finger, we call this as a butterfly mind. A butterfly, it has a momentary exuberance and flies, but it
Mm.
cannot sustain it. It
Mm.
falls to being a donkey or a monkey. It just, jumps around and then sleeps for a long time.
Uh-huh,
So, with these three are the negative states of mind. With yoga, we shed these three negative states, and then
uh-huh,
this pointed finger is ekagra mind, deeply focused, and this
uh-huh,
thumb is mastered mind and a harmonious mind. When
uh-huh.
you're engaged in deeply focused and mastered mind, this is the secret to excellence, secret to a good entrepreneurship. So the way we do this is we also have fun doing it. So the way to do this is,
Okay.
so you have to snap your finger and then go like this.
Okay. That's
Awesome. Thank you. What a beautiful morning to spend the time with you, reflecting on our human pursuit, our true identity, that is being an entrepreneur, to designing excellence in the world.
okay. Monkey with donkey, butterfly, and ekagra. The definition of dhyana is that, right? Tatra ekatra chittam
So, ekatanata dhyanam.
ekatanata dhyanam.
Oh,
Okay.
so basically, tatra pratyaya.
Tatra.
Ekatanata. Pratyaya is when the image of your mind stay the same from this moment to the next moment. That is called the meditative state. Tatra pratyaya ekatanata.
So, to everyone watching, may you pursue success with strength, balance, and awareness. Please do explore Srini's work. And let me show the YouTube channel of yours, Srini.
While you're doing that, there are only three things: samyama, yama, niyama.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
That's it. Samyama on yama, niyama is what everybody needs to master.
So that is YouTube channel of Srini, the 10YEC, and so that is the 10YEC Youth Excellence Center, and these are all the videos Srini made. So
Yeah.
check out his channel.
I
Okay.
mean, there are a bunch of we have yoga foundation classes that includes both yoga postures, but also the philosophy and the mindset, and then various practices. And then we also have entrepreneurship and leadership foundation classes, and we also have a new experiment called yoga dance, and we do a bunch of yoga dance flows. That's been a very innovative experiment. And this year, 2025, seven of our youth went to USA Yoga National Championship. Five of them qualified for the world.
Wonderful.
And in 2026, I'm actually hosting the one of the national yoga qualifiers at my wife's ranch. So there's a lot happening. Be the entrepreneur, keep the journey going, and be in that samyama, yama, niyama flow state.
Wonderful. Thank you and catch you again.
Thank you, Nalini. We'll see you again.
Until next time, think consciously, be kind, be compassionate, be responsible, and live yogically. Namaste.